Greetings and welcome to the Supply Drop, episode 41, a game podcast created by three people who knew there weren't enough video game podcasts. My name is Nate. I'll be your host. I'm joined by two other co-hosts today, the first of which is Scott.
Hello.
Scott, what does the word vociferous mean?
The word vociferous?
What does the word vociferous mean?
Sounds like you don't want to catch it.
Oh, yeah, that's what Prince Albert died of, right? I honestly don't know.
Okay, it's expressing feelings or opinions in a very loud or forceful way. For example, he is her most vociferous critic.
Oh,
all right.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, the internet and to Xbox basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Thick, don't think you're escaping this. All right. Our third co-host over there is Thick. Thick, say hello.
Hello.
Thick, can you tell us what the word ephemeral means?
Kind of like I can kind of picture it, but like to put it into words, I don't know how I would put it into.
Let me tell you.
It's kind of like you can't touch it in a way. I don't know.
Lasting a very short time, transitory. For example, the ephemeral joys of childhood are something I dearly miss.
That sounds about right.
I
I'm a little bit off.
Too.
Yeah. And maybe,
I swear I've used this word in the past year.
Yeah.
I just don't remember the exact meaning.
Yeah. Some questions are good during, some weeks, and other like this week, maybe not great, but they got us through, okay? In this week's podcast, we'll be trying to cover a myriad of topics such as Omega Strifers, Strafe, Fallout 76, Ravenlock, Phil Spencer's kind of funny interview, Hogwarts Legacy sales, Spider-Man PS5 release, and finish daily using video games to dodge Russian press restrictions. Oh, and Redfall too. All right. And before we get started, I want to remind listeners they can drop us a comment, question, or my favorite, an insult at our Supply Drop YouTube channel. That's right. Scott, tell us how your week went.
My week went, I had a pretty good week. Better than Microsoft. I picked up since I got on PC, I'm going back and playing like all of this stuff that I missed out on. And I found one called Strafe. Mm-hmm. And if you've played this, you're in the know. But it is one of those retro first-person shooters. It's a Quake era type retro shooter. So the graphics
when did it come out?
2017.
Okay.
Oh, it's been a while.
It's been a while. But it's a roguelite shooter with randomly generated levels, and there's mods that you can add to it and take away, and there's different game modes, so you can kind of change up what you're doing and how you do it, and enemies and guns, and it's just like kind of like a big sandbox roguelite, and it's pretty cool. It actually has a setting that says make Strafe look worse. You hit that, and it looks more like it's like 320 by 320 by 240 or something. Reminiscent of
more pure vision.
Trying to run Quake on a 486 basically is what it looks like. The frame rate doesn't drop, but for someone that played those games when they came out, it's very nostalgic for me, and it's a fun game. Sounds good. The enemies are varied and interesting, and having that randomly generated levels keeps it a little fresh. So I've been playing around with that a lot. Of course, I'm still playing Jedi Survivor. I haven't finished that. I haven't finished anything because there's so much to play right now.
Right.
But yeah, that's my
Scott.
That's my.
How much time have you put into Strafe?
Probably about.
Be honest. Be honest with the
hours,
listeners.
About 8
hours,
you
did. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And
so that's a chunk of time.
Yeah. Well, again, there's a lot to kind of play around with it.
Right.
Yeah. So, there's other modes where it's just like you go in and you have just just kind of a horde mode. Not really a horde mode, more of like just enemies come out of, it's almost like, it's like a first person Vampire Survivor. So it's just, they start coming out of everywhere, and you just have to kind of dodge and jump and shoot and, just as long as you can. and then try to beat that the next time. So
all right.
Yeah.
And your upgrades are vital.
Your upgrades are vital from vending machines.
Right. Okay.
Around the maps. And you also get health from vending machines, and you also get ammo and armor from vending machines.
Okay. All right.
So you kind of collect stuff and make a little money, and then spend it, to survive. So
okay.
Rinse and repeat.
All right, cool.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you played another game, but we're not going to get into that right now. We're going to get into that later.
Yes.
What game is that?
I don't know.
Doom, 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 doom. Thick, tell us what you did this week.
I'm a little sweaty, so I don't know if you could tell, but I went hiking. But aside from that, I played a little bit of Fallout 76. I feel like I probably don't need to talk too much about it. Except that I appreciate the amount of activities they have in the game now, and like at least adding the story elements that they didn't have in the beginning. So, I enjoy it.
I want to say something about this. I frequently hear this game get brought up on podcasts where it's like, they tried to make a multiplayer game and everyone hated it. It sucked. And then you look on concurrent player lists and it does pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's on Xbox Live's most played game. It's around 20 to 25, which
that's pretty fair for the reputation it had, right?
It released in a horrible state, right? Everyone criticized it.
Yeah. Interesting thing. I have 3 copies of it because I have it on Steam now. I have it on PC for, Xbox Game Pass and just on Xbox. So I find that interesting because they gave it out. I think they gave it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you don't have the special edition, right?
No, just a regular copy that I got somewhere. Anyway. But yeah, this is one of the games that really could have benefited if they just came out and said, hey, this is a project and it's early access and, here's full price, but it's not finished yet and we're going to add stuff, but we're going to add stuff based on what you guys want. They did that with Grounded and they did that,
that to success.
They did, yeah. And they said, hey, look, we don't even know the story yet. We're going to let you guys decide on kind of what the story's going to be and how we're going to play that out. And
that would definitely have benefited it.
And then they had a great launch, and it reviewed really well.
Right.
And it felt really empty at first too. I mean, it was a survival game, but had they done that, I think it probably would have had a better reception.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how, like, a lot of things, if you just call it early access, you'll just, like, in a way get a pass or at least a lowered expectations, right? There's a couple other games I could think of with that.
Starship Troopers Extinction.
That's soon.
Whatever it is.
Do you remember at the time, was it like a full price game? Fallout 76?
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, was it? So
I remember playing the beta, and I was unimpressed. And I think I had a pre-order, but I canceled it.
Okay.
I think I rented it when it came out, and hated it.
Rented it? What, Redbox?
No, it was like GameFly or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So and then
I did play Ravenlock a little bit, but I didn't play enough. But I do want to show one thing, but I'll mention it in the chat. This came in. I don't know if you can see it.
Closer.
Blurry.
It's very
Zelda.
blurry. I don't know. Yeah, it's Zelda.
No, it's blurry. I want to see it.
I don't know. I can't unblur it.
Your face. There we go.
There, kind of.
Ooh, nice. Wow.
It's the special edition one. Yeah. I don't know if I can unblur it.
It's kind of doing it.
There you go. Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you, man.
So what is in that box? Is it just the hardware, or does it have the game?
It's the special edition Zelda Tears of the Kingdom OLED Switch. Only the Switch. You get a customized looking dock, a slightly patterned back to the console itself, and then like a gold and white controller set.
So it doesn't come with the game?
It doesn't come with the game. They haven't been doing that for a while. Not even. Yeah.
Wow.
They want your $70 thick.
They do want my $70. Although if you do, I'm gonna do the voucher. They have this voucher thing going on with their digital thing where you pay $100 and you could pick 2 games. So it's a $70 game already. So if you I'll probably get Pikmin 4 and Tears of the Kingdom, and then it's like pretty good deal.
Right.
Yeah, that is a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Nintendo doing deals?
Yeah, I know.
What's going on in the world?
Thick, I know we talked about this before, but the last gameplay preview, were you Were you excited about the direction the game was going?
I was excited, but I think I mentioned I was a little concerned. I probably used the wrong word at the time. I think I used choice paralysis, but
that's right. Okay.
But it's definitely the wrong word because I looked it up recently because I've always been using it, but I've been using it wrong. I think it's just more so concerned that like the ways you do the things, like it just becomes tedious. Like if I have to do this every time,
and it really depends.
It really depends on how they set it up, right? If the sandbox is set up correctly, where it's curated, where you do have like a fair amount of ways to do it, without being too overwhelming or too tedious, then that would be good. I really gotta start playing it, and I'll see how I feel. Okay. So next week.
Oh, I'm gonna be excited about that. Yeah. All right. And so you did also play another game that we're not bringing up at this point, right?
I didn't play enough of it. Ravenlock, I started it, but because I've been moving stuff around, I only got like 20 minutes on it.
I mean the other game.
Oh, the
other game.
Okay, we won't speak of it.
Okay, all right.
Until a little bit later.
All right. Let me jump in real quick to tell you guys about a game I don't think either of you care about. I don't think even any listeners of this podcast would care about, but I have to do it because it's the only game I've been playing this week.
Should we guess?
Well, I think you've read it on the Discord, right?
Fortnite.
No, I haven't played Fortnite in a long time, actually.
No, I did see it, and then I was here. You talk about it.
Actually, this game reminded me of Thick a little bit. So it's called a Mega Strikers. It's a free-to-play. Essentially, what it is picture like a MOBA, right? You're controlling your little MOBA character, and then slide over that template and slide it over NES Ice Hockey from 1988. You remember NES?
Roller Champions.
No, ignore Thick because he didn't play the game. Just focus on my voice, all right?
Okay.
No, you remember Ice Hockey on the NES a long time ago?
Yeah.
Where you have it's essentially a hockey/soccer game. Yeah. So you're playing soccer or hockey with MOBA characters. You're trying to score goals, and occasionally you're trying to do damage to the other team, right?
Like hockey.
The game does, I think, two interesting things, and then we'll get off this topic because, again, this doesn't seem like a game that's going to do anything, really. It's like a flash in the pan type of game. One thing it does pretty cool is in order to score a goal, so rounds last a minute, and in order to score a goal, you have to kind of unlock your opponent's goal. You have to hit an unlock area of their side of the map. Once you hit their unlock, then the goal opens up. So it kind of makes goals last a little bit longer. There's no game starts, the round ends in 3 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting. The other thing it does is I think there's 15 characters. All the characters are coming from an adventure MOBA. They don't have any sports aesthetic to them at all, right? So they're it's weird, anime adventurers who just don't belong in a sports game. And half of them, when they score a goal, they're like, ugh, is this it? Are we done yet? The weirdest goal celebrations ever, which I thought that was kind of interesting, right?
It sounds like a fever dream.
It's weird. It's like a Chat GPT game where they're just two genres, smash them together.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it kind of works for me. It's
new?
real easy. I think it was, it's been out on mobile, but it just came to consoles.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it on Steam. I was considering giving it a try.
Yeah, it's easy to get into, but honestly, if you just picture, it's not a surprising game at all. You watch a 10-second clip of this game, you get it instantly, right?
Is there any risk reward levels to it? What do you would you say? Because because I did mention Roller Champions, but I'm actually being honest that there's a lot of similarities because you're talking about unlocking stuff, right? In Roller Champions, you have to do one lap to unlock the goal. And but if you do more than one lap, you can triple the points, or if you do 3 laps, you can win the game with 1 goal.
Oh, that's actually interesting. So I would say the risk reward in here is, it's a 3-on-3 game, and occasionally, real quick, you have to choose: do I want to go for the puck? Do I want to go for the puck, or do I want to do damage to an opponent? Depending on the puck's position, depending on my position, depending on the opponent's position, you have to choose. So your risk reward is sometimes you can do a lot of damage to your opponent. Actually, this happens all the time to me. I'll go do a lot of damage to my opponent, and because it forces me to get out of position, then they score a goal on us.
So
right?
how do you counter them trying to attack you? Do you just move or do you dodge or?
There are like invulnerability states. So if you suspect you're about to get hit,
Mhm.
you can either jump out of the way, or you can like instantly become invulnerable based on your character's abilities, right?
So is there a window to that or a cooldown? Like if you
Yeah.
do it at the wrong time?
So all the characters have, I think, 5 abilities. One of them is a standard like hit the puck ability. So you have
Hmm.
4 cooldowns, and I think every character has like a dodge attack ability.
Okay.
And the way my brain works is like I cannot focus on 2 things at once. So either I'm going for that puck and getting hit, or I'm going for an enemy and they're scoring a goal on me, right?
Yeah.
But fun game. I probably played it for 4 hours, and I might go back to it, right? But it's certainly not a multiplayer game that I don't think it's the next Rocket League. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's just another one of those roller champion type
It's like
games.
play it for a week. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I will say the budget seems pretty low on it, so it looks like it could have been made by 10 people. But
Never mad that they make these. So
no, that's right. That is true. Um, All right, before we kick things off, let's go to our listener feedback segment. Here's where our listeners of the Supply Drop participate in the discussion by going to the Supply Drop Podcast YouTube channel and dropping a question, comment, or devastating insult. Let's go over to our listener feedback correspondent, Thick, and see what he has in store for us this week.
well, you see,
Thick.
let me see the
Pull it
comments
up.
loading.
Yes,
The
okay.
comments are loading.
There might be a glitch.
I got nothing this week.
Okay, this week's listener feedback segment was brought to you by Activision Blizzard King. Bobby Kotick just might be single and ready to mingle. Wow, that's a weird ad read. But thank you for supporting the show, ABK.
Yeah,
All right.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the drop, the segment of our podcast where we talk about last week's most intriguing news stories. Scott, what intrigued you the most this week?
Well, Hogwarts Legacy, which came out, I believe, in January, has sold 15 million copies, equaling $1 billion.
Yeah.
So I would say that game is probably successful.
Yeah,
Boycott
despite the
failed.
controversy, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were supposed to boycott this, but
Right.
it's no $1 billion. That is, I'm sure they're putting rockets on a sequel as we speak right now. So
Right.
I think we can expect this to probably become a franchise.
A franchise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
So-
guess one thing interesting is I feel like didn't they have like a spin-off movie series? What was it called? They had like 2 or 3
Fantastic
movies.
Beasts?
I don't think those movies did that well. I think it is Fantastic Beasts. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No, they didn't. No.
Yeah. I guess it would be interesting to see if they're making 1 or 2 or however many more of these sequels. Like, will it maintain momentum? Like, do you feel like every game is a surefire 15 million?
Probably not.
Probably not. No.
You think it would cool off?
I think people were kind of starving. Maybe like there hasn't been much of a Harry Potter product in a while.
Right.
No,
Directly,
all
right?
All of the games, good and bad, have sold well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the first that's been in this generation and been an open world. Basically,
And also critically
Hogwarts
acclaimed.
sim. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it got good reviews. I mean, I've played a good chunk of it. I haven't finished it, of course.
Yeah.
How many hours?
But okay, I don't know. I think I'm like level 19 or something like that. So I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll go back to it because I did enjoy it. It just got a little repetitive at one spot. You hit that what I call the anthem grind, where it kind of hits that part where it's like, oh well, you can't progress in the story until you reach level whatever.
Oh,
So
really?
you need to go do these things to reach that level, and that's when I'm like, whatever, Ubisoft.
Taking a break.
Yeah, take a break from it. And then when I come back to it, I really enjoy it. So
I feel like that is a common complaint about that game. I've heard it feels like the end of the game, it just the wheels fall off.
yeah, I mean, ending a game is very hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I don't really think it's for that game. For me, it's not really the ending. I'm not playing it to get to the main boss. I'm playing it because of the mechanics that are in it and the open world and just the fun. Doing those things and what you're doing in that game is just different than other games. You know,
Yeah.
you're a student in a wizardry school. It's not like you're the chosen one with, a golden gun and you have to kill the boss or you have to save the princess. It's not. It's just something a little different. I think that's what people are really starving for when you get down to it.
Scott, let me ask you a question. Is how important is the story in that game? I know the vibe, like it's fun walking around a castle, a school. Mm-hmm. It has a nice what's that word? Not lore, but it's you feel
immersion.
Immersion, yeah. It feels immersive, but in terms of the story, that story doesn't seem to be pulling you towards the end.
No, not really. I mean, it is an interesting story. It's just not. It's
not interesting enough.
No, it's just typical Harry Potter stuff.
Right. Right.
And now that I think about it, you're not the chosen one, but you are a chosen one.
Yeah.
But it's not. The stakes are not as high as, say, a Harry Potter movie. Right.
Oh, okay.
Which is good. It doesn't need to be. Not every movie needs. I mean, not every game has to be that. But yeah, it's really just the setting and being able to do all these interesting things. There's a lot of puzzles and mysteries that you come across, in the world that you find out how to do later. So those kind of things. I like, walking around and exploring. That's one thing I love to do in a game if it's open world, is just explore and find things. So. It does that very well.
Okay. Scott, did you have another news story this week?
I did.
Oh.
And this one's really weird to me. Okay, so Spider-Man for PlayStation got a PS5 release, but it was coupled with the Spider-Man Ultimate, I think, edition is what they called it. It was coupled with the Miles Morales game. And so now it's getting a solo release. So for $49.99, you can get just the regular PS5 version of Spider-Man. Or, which is a huge surprise, if you own the original one, you can pay $10 and get that upgraded. So if you bought the PS4 version, you can get the PS5 version for $10, which is great. Good going, Sony. They don't usually do that. They usually slap $70 on it and say, "Here, buy it again." But you also can get a prequel comic book that leads up to Spider-Man 2. Which I think the timing is probably, I think the timing's right that we're going to see gameplay and a release date at June.
Definitely June.
Yeah, in June. So at least we hope so. And I hope we get a PC release shortly after that. I mean, it's probably something like 6 months or something, but I'll take it.
Does this comic book take place after the first Spider-Man and before the Spider-Man 2?
They didn't say. They just said it was the events leading up to Spider-Man 2. So I'm assuming that it does bridge a gap between.
Okay.
Wait, I think yesterday was Free Comic Book Day, so maybe they did that to coincide with it?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, it was. So I didn't get one. I didn't get a free comic, but.
So Scott, you have your eye on this game, it sounds like.
Well, I did enjoy Spider-Man.
You did?
And I played Miles Morales on PC, which was it wasn't as good. I didn't have as much fun with that. But playing it because
it was
PC,
more of the same.
It was a little bit more of the same, but not. I just didn't think it was as good. And I said that before. It's like playing, a kid that is kind of figuring everything out. Is just I've been there, done that.
Doesn't appeal to you as much.
No, I preferred playing Spider-Man from the very first go. You are a well-adjusted Spider-Man in the world, doing your thing. It's not you get bit by a spider and you have to do a tutorial. Nothing like that. You were already Spider-Man.
Right.
So then when you go back and you play Miles Morales, it's kind of that same. You didn't just get your powers, but you're still kind of trying to figure everything out. And I don't know. I just get kind of weary of that. So Spider-Man 2, of course, will feature both of these characters and not have that awkward period.
Right.
Your awkward hero years will be past you, I'm sure. Plus the updated graphics and everything will look even better on PC. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I assume Spider-Man 2 is PS5 only, console only, right?
It will be exclusive. They have not said anything about PC, but since they released the first one on PC, I'm assuming that, and those release dates of
getting shorter and shorter.
Supposedly are going to get shorter and So everyone's guessing probably about a 6-month lead time for the console, and then they'll release it for PC. Hopefully in a better state than Neil Druckmann catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what engine is Spider-Man on? Do we know?
No idea, actually.
Interesting.
I think it's an in-house. I think it's Insomniac's engine.
Okay, because I know with like Horizon, right? Like I think they
The
used
Decima?
Decima, which is used in Death Stranding, I believe, right?
Right.
So like now that they released Burning Shores, which by the way looks really good, like visually looks really good. Like
Yeah, it
Burning
does.
Shores looks like next gen. So they'll probably release that soon. Burning not well, Forbidden West plus Burning Shores eventually on PC probably this year.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I guess I have one question for you guys. I don't know if Scott, I guess thick as well, but late '90s there was a Spider-Man cartoon. I loved it in the late '90s.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Do you remember
Which
that
one
thing?
Was it Ultimate Spider-Man?
I don't.
I think it was just Spider-Man, right?
I thought it was just maybe the Amazing Spider-Man, but it was like
Yeah.
it was like that was like my favorite cartoon in the '90s. And
There was that, and then there was that
X-Men.
kind of more dark.
Batman.
That too, yeah, and Batman.
Yeah,
like
the
all
X-Men
three of
were really
those.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there was Were you even in on the Batman Beyond train?
Oh, yeah.
I watched it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I liked it
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't go that far. But
Yeah.
Yeah, where's
I
the Batman
like the
Beyond
original one.
game? Come on.
I know.
I mean, who doesn't want that?
We got to make a few. They got to make a few more Suicide Squad games, and then we'll get to the Batman Beyond game.
Yeah.
Right.
Once those
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
Maybe we should
All
make a
right.
Batman.
All right, Thick. Why don't you tell us what intrigued you the most this week?
Well, there's two interesting news bits. I'll start off with the one with the Finnish newspaper.
Okay.
They're using Counter-Strike as a way to kind of dodge Russian propaganda. Like basically, there's this secret level. I forget the name of it. But let me take a look real quick.
Yeah, I forgot what map it's in.
I think it's his own map. Devoya. I don't know how to say it properly.
Yeah.
Dust. It's pronounced dust.
Yeah,
Russian
but basically,
for
like yeah, it has all the news like kind of in there, and it's just it's a way of them dodging the filter of Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
Now this, I can't say too much because I haven't been following this as well as some others, but I would say like this isn't the first time that it's happened, right? Like people used to use WoW supposedly to communicate, like not in this way, but maybe like terrorist activities or something. I don't know if you guys remember news on that.
No, I don't know.
It could have been WoW, it could have been like League of Legends, but they basically like these if you can chat like any game, like they're susceptible to this sort of thing, right?
So wait. Explain to me if I want to get my news. If I'm in Russia, I'm aware that there's censorship going on, and I'm like I got to go play Counter-Strike to get my news. Is it just communicating via voice?
They made
How is
a
it presented?
level, I think.
Yeah.
It's a secret map, and I believe it has like signage and clues. I feel like it's better if it's presented in like a.
Yeah,
Go
I thought
ahead.
I thought you just buy it. Like it's replace the M4 when you go through, and so you make enough money, and it's like it just says news.
Oh, I don't know.
No, probably
It just
not.
says secret room in Counter Strike.
Yeah, that's what I read. That it was a secret room, and it was text files. It was like you could actually go in and just, I guess, just click on the text file, and it opens. But either way, I mean, however it's done, that's ingenious.
Yeah.
And a little scary. I mean,
Yeah.
how much information is going through gaming?
Yeah.
In general.
And then like Valve, how do they control this? Because like in some cases, like if it's like terrorists talking stuff, Valve would have to probably keep track of the transcript somehow and then pass it over to authorities.
Yeah,
So Valve is not releasing this news. Somehow players are hacking into the game and posting it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like modding, right?
Modding it. Okay. Yeah.
I do
All
know
right.
that when I installed computer systems and phone systems, there was one of the offices, they picked up their phone one day and they heard Arabic speech, people talking back and forth, and they couldn't control their phone at all. They couldn't dial out. They couldn't do anything. These people were just talking. So eventually they called the FBI, and the FBI, tapped the line and looked at it, and it was some people from Saudi Arabia would hijack their phone system and talk to people in Afghanistan. So the FBI had to get involved. The FBI contacted AT&T, who's the line carrier, and then basically just told our customer, it's like, we got this, and just disconnected the phone line, and we had to go back in and rebuild the whole thing over again. But so yeah, I mean, it's there's different ways to do this, and it's just like anything else. People have found a way.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a little real world in our video games, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now to kind of move away from that, I think that's a mixed topic for some people.
Yeah.
Video games inducted into the World Video Game Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Recent additions. It is Barbie fashion designer.
Ooh, my favorite.
It's from 1996. The reason they put it is because kind of like it breaking the mold at the time, because gaming was geared towards more male dominant, so this was something new. The Last of Us. You kind of have an idea why people.
No, me and Scott will be boycotting this.
That's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, it's basically. It's like about quality of game and story.
Cutscenes, quality of cutscenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a yeah.
Next one is Wii Sports. I think this probably
who
deserves it.
Yeah.
That's legit. I appreciate that.
Wii boxing is the real deal.
Yeah. I'm boycotting 2 games. I'm boycotting that Barbie game. I don't think Barbie belongs in the video game Hall of Fame. I know it's like, you're supposed to accept it, but I don't think it made a cultural impact. I know there's probably like 300 people that played it, but I literally never heard of that game, and I've been obsessed with this industry.
I haven't
forever.
heard of it either, but if they want to do that, go ahead. Hold on. That's it. It proved that games targeted towards girls could succeed, selling more than 500,000 copies in 2 months. So that was for the time.
I guess I was sitting at the wrong lunch tables, when I was a kid.
Yeah, I've never heard this before, but hey,
yeah,
96
it has some influence.
Might not be overshadowed by Quake. Maybe
could have been.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Just in those discussions.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, good on them, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Not many games in the Hall of Fame at this point, right? Because it's a new thing.
It's a new. I think they started in 2015.
Yeah. They did? Okay.
Yeah, I think this is like museumofplay.org is the website for it.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess once they nominate Fortnite for it, I'll be on board with this organization.
They kind of was it. There's some finalists in it as well, such as Angry Birds, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4, GoldenEye 007.
And these were just nominees?
I think so. I don't know if they've actually made it. Quake is on there too, and Wizardry.
Okay. I guess it would be interesting to look at that list of the past 7 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll hear more from it in the future. So.
Yeah. No, that was nice. I'm glad you steered us away from the Russian-Ukraine war there, Thick. Appreciate that.
Yeah. I try.
Yeah. All right. So is that those were the things that intrigued you?
I think we have a pretty big topic.
Okay. All right. Let me blaze through mine real quick then. So in the Discord this week, I posted an insensitive GIF of Jack Nicholson nodding up and down, that the Departed GIF, and that was in response to, I think, Thick posted a news story about Pixel Opus closing.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of people losing their jobs. I didn't get excited about people losing their jobs, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I need to explain myself a little bit better, at least in the audio format.
So as in you're excited?
Well, here's what I've long thought this. I've thought this forever. You know, PlayStation has always had like, you know, a decent stable of first party developers, right?
Right.
And I feel like they've had a big chunk of them making these like smaller games. I'll call them artsy games, whatnot.
Like Dreams.
I respect Dreams a heck of a lot more than I respect anything Pixel Opus has done. But maybe like,
Well, yeah, just
I know what you're saying, but yeah. Essentially, yeah. I always felt like, I'm like, why aren't these companies just devoting all their resources to what I'd call needle movers? Like, you know, not that every game you make has to move 20 million units, but at least have the potential to move 20 million units, right?
right.
So Pixel Opus, I think, has 2 games under their belt. One was Concrete Genie. One was some other game. Neither of them did anything in the market. I don't even think they scored that well critically.
I've never even heard of them.
I
Yeah,
remember
right.
Concrete Genie. There's a PSVR aspect to it, which
Was there?
was just kind of okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the games that I feel like their main strength was just kind of a quirky art direction. And I'm like, well, the game just seems boring with a kind of a cool art direction.
Right.
So I guess my point is like, you know, Pixel Opus probably 20 employees. You know, let's get rid of those 20 employees and let's hire 20 employees for PlayStation's Center of Live Excellence. You know, Bungie's Center of Live Excellence.
Right.
So I don't know if I explained myself very well or not, but
No,
you know,
I get it. I see what you're saying. It's you want studios to produce. You want them to make games.
Right.
And Sony doesn't seem to do. Microsoft will take multiple studios to help out, and Activision does that too. Like I don't think there's a studio that they own that does not work on Call of Duty to some extent, because that is their $1 billion a year, you know, moneymaker.
Right.
Or multiple billions. Sony doesn't seem to do that. And they do fine with it, but yeah, I think that they're maybe going through their studio catalog and they're like, hey, what are you guys working on? Well, we got this. Okay, yeah, forget it. Yeah,
the fact that I think it's been like 4 years since Concrete Genie came out, and the fact that they're axing a game like this game should have been like ready to launch, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that they're axing the studio right now suggests to me that they weren't close to finished product here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's a reason for that. You know, it's just things when it's like, oh, somebody closed the studio. You know, it's like canceling a game. It's like there's a reason for that.
Right.
It's a business decision. So
yeah. You know, gardeners like to prune their trees, right? They prune.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then it won't grow as well.
Exactly. Fick, did you have anything to add here? Pixel Opus.
I mean,
are you disappointed?
I'm not disappointed. It's kind of like not unexpected, but I wasn't really expecting it either, because they were just kind of in the background, right? There's a lot of developers that are just kind of in the background.
Right. You don't hear anything from them. Yeah.
So I guess, you know, it's not unexpected either. So it's, you know, it feels bad for the team. Hopefully they get integrated to other parts, right?
Yeah, right. Yep. And I guess my next news story is going to be easy for me because I'm surrounded by 2 experts on this game. And this, of course, Redfall came out, I think, May 2nd. And it came out to 30 frames per second and a 58 Metascore for Xbox consoles. Yeah. Gentlemen, what happened here? You're the experts. What happened here?
Well, can we give our impressions of what we played?
Of
we
course.
played a little
I'll
bit.
let Thick go
Scott,
first. Yeah.
Well,
Thick, how
many
much
hours
did you play?
did you put? Oh, how many hours I put?
Yeah.
Like, a little bit over an hour, to be honest.
Okay.
Because like I had a hard time wanting to pick up the game. Like I wanted to give it a fair shake, but you know, like how I probably have like a low threshold or pretty high threshold for like bugs and like BS in games, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty tolerant, but this one, like, it just straight up felt incomplete.
Wow.
I mean, that's the only way I can really put it.
Man, if you can't pass the thick test, something wrong.
You're in trouble. Yeah.
This needed to cook like much longer.
Now, what did you play this on?
I played on PC, so like, you know, it ran okay. Graphically, it was kind of subpar. Like I feel like it was missing like that extra layer of shadows, extra layer of post-processing, right? Like, cause I would get on top of, what was it? I don't know how far you got. How far did you get, Scott?
I don't know I mean, I don't know how far. I don't know. But I think it's about a 20-hour game. And so I've been playing. I got about almost 6 hours into it, I think.
Okay, so you have way more impressions of what's going on. Because like, the very opening part, you could tell like they made it look good. Like the way the main vampire villain looked, like it was very very well animated. So like they were going somewhere, but then you get into the world, and it looks good to an extent, like artistically. Like you walk out of the ship and it's like this static frozen wave, and you're on a ship that's like tilted over. Very cool, kind of like set piece. It's just missing that extra like paint on it, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a in between, realistic and maybe like a cel shaded Borderlands. It kind of falls into that more like an like a animated movie.
Yeah.
Something that looks real. It's very identifiable, but it has that kind of gloss over it that makes it look animated. And I actually like that, but yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's the, to be honest, the best part of the game.
Yeah, I've walked into some areas that were like, whoa, this looks really good. Like very detailed. Like there was a sewing
This is
machine.
arcane. Yeah,
that had all the etchings on, like a 1920s sewing machine, had all the etching on it, and just very very detailed.
Yeah.
But then I'll let you continue.
Oh yeah, just playing it, like the first real thing that I encountered that just kind of breaks you out of it. No stealth kill animation. Like, this is a company. This is a company that's known for it. And like, they got like the when you stake a vampire, they have like that canned animation. But like, when you just stealth kill someone, they just drop dead right in front of you, which is a little bit, immersion breaking.
Like it's just like one frame of they're standing, and then the next frame they're just on the ground. Like
no,
there's like a falling animation.
They're like
little.
They just
ragdoll, right?
backwards.
Okay,
and it's the same animation, especially if you just hit them in the back of the knee or in the back of the head, or they just do the same thing. And
okay,
yeah.
And definitely I noticed like there was like I would have subtitles on, and it seems like someone is saying something, but I don't hear it. Yeah, I get that.
Wait. Say that again.
So closed captioning, right? Like how it will like kind of like go off when someone's like kind of maybe whispering something.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of saying stuff, but there's nothing. I hear like zero.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. So it should have been throw it back in the oven. Yeah.
Yeah. It needed to cook. I mean, this straight up unfinished. That's all I can say. But Scott played it longer. I want to hear his opinion.
Yeah, maybe we only have one expert. Maybe Scott, you're our expert.
Well, like I said, that means the visual style. I thought I really liked it, especially for what I thought this game was going to be. Having that open world co-op shooter where there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of enemies, and you want to be able to identify the people that you're with. Your friends between the enemies and this and that. Well, there's none of that. And so, this, I'm going to do a couple of positives first. The character that I'm playing.
Which one?
It's the English guy, which I can't think of his name now, but because they never really say it, unless you're in the menu. But the Monster Hunter. Yeah, he has the thing that the UV power that you stake in the ground, and it pulses a UV light out.
Oh, okay.
That one.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, he says some kind of entertaining things, but he doesn't talk very often, and he doesn't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
If you've been watching the show, like a character, it's like, hey, maybe I should go over there. Maybe I should pick that up. Maybe I should open that door. No, there's none of that. So, so I think there's a lot of thought put into these characters as far as being characters, and their abilities and everything.
From what I understand, like there is banter between the characters as you grow, like play together with them. Like,
I would hope so. Yeah, because that's Arcane. They make good characters. Well, they make good bad guys. And the abilities that I have are useful. They're not just throwaways. So that's about it. The rest of it, when you go through this world and you think, oh, this is really neat looking, and it's like a walking ad for New England. It's completely empty. I mean, you might run into 2, 3, 4 enemies just kind of standing there talking to one another, not really doing anything. And then you will run into a vampire in the middle of the day, which I'm pretty sure is a bug because you can turn them into stone with a UV gun, but yet they're out in the sunlight.
Right.
So it makes no sense whatsoever. The enemies they're just inconsistent.
Yeah.
They're either like they either
fully
react
alerted,
to you,
right?
Right. They either react to you, and sometimes they'll actually like move around, and they're interesting to fight. Sometimes they're just you might stand right in front of them, and the question mark comes up and goes, "Hey, what's that over there? Did I hear something?"
Yeah.
And they're right in front of you.
Yeah, and the question marks really give away their position, even though like you weren't
Yeah.
trying to find them. It kind of takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, you'll hear somebody, and then you'll walk, and then those will pop up before you even see them, and then you're like, oh well, there's a guy over there. He's 10 feet away. It's broad daylight, but yet he can't see me yet. Which again is not something Arcane is known for. The AI is abysmal. I mean, it's just terrible. I said the same thing about their last game.
Deathloop, right?
Deathloop, yeah. It's just they're in it. They had one enemy style, and they just come run at you. They just run at you. So whoever's doing the AI over there is, I don't know. That team might want to brush up on some stuff, but and then there's some stuff that, like for one, you collect guns. You get guns out of everything: a bag, a rock, a truck. I mean, everywhere. You're getting a gun constantly. There's no storage for it that I've found whatsoever. Like I'm level, 14 or 15, I think. And where you have like a storage, like in your main base,
a stash,
you have storage.
right?
Yeah, stash or a storage or, a bin or something that you can put stuff in, and maybe use for later or check it out later or whatever. They don't have any of that. You either have to drop it or just scrap it.
So how many weapons can you carry?
3.
God. Yeah, you can have 3 in your equipped.
3 equipped, yeah.
And then 20 or something actually on you.
You can, okay.
In your invisible backpack, right?
So you can dismantle it, right?
You can,
and it just instantly turns to currency from what I can tell.
Right. And you get a lot of the same weapons. I mean, I've gotten a couple that are kind of cool. The sniper rifles are kind of cool. The UV guns I like. The stake, there's a gun that shoots stakes.
But it's limited ammo, right?
Yeah, it's very limited ammo. But it can one shot if you hit a vampire perfectly, then it's a one shot, one kill. Which is kind of hard to do because they go all over the place. I mean, they're just zipping, everywhere. And then the game itself really looks like it is a games as service gutted. Like it really looks like at one point this was going to be a flourishing open world with vendors and side quests and things to do, and they just went in and either didn't complete that or it was taken out. I mean, with a 5-year dev, I would think it was probably taken out, and that may be why this is the way it is. A lot of bugs, a lot of T-posing that I've found for characters.
Not the worst offender to me, at least.
No,
T-posing.
No. I mean, when you see it now, it's like whatever. Poor PC optimization.
That's the thing right now.
Yeah, it's not as bad as like Jedi Survivor, but it's using Unreal Engine 4, which we know is not the best open world engine. So it's not been impeding my progress or play, but it does have some stuttering. It does have some. It will stop. It'll completely freeze for a good 4 seconds. I can only assume that it's loading a new area, and then it picks up at like 30 frames per second, and then picks back up to where you're.
Yeah.
I'm usually getting anywhere from about 60 to 80, but it will drop definitely. All of the story after the first one, all the story elements, or either you read something you find, or it's told in a really weird, like static freeze frame of in game, like your character talking to other characters, and then the camera just kind of pans around the room as it's telling you what's going on, which seems really lazy.
Low budget, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
like it was almost like it was placeholder.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like it's just keyframes, like placeholders.
Like, this is how the cutscene's going to go, but they just didn't do it.
No, and I think it's because this game is $70. This becomes less acceptable.
Absolutely. Also, there's a movie you have to watch in a movie theater. If you've watched any YouTube video, you've probably seen this. But you find the movie, you put it in. You got to find a battery, or a bulb. Sorry, you go find the bulb. You put it in the projector, and then when you watch it, it's not a movie at all. It's a slideshow. It's like animated pictures, which is, I mean, you've got a movie projector that you put it in, and yet it's showing you slides. I played it a little bit on the wife's Series S. The controls are terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible on Xbox.
Really?
Mouse and keyboard, of course, not having a real problem there, but just like the dead zone is too big. It seems like the speed for looking around and aiming down sight is about the same, which is not good. And you can't adjust either one. You just adjust most of it. You just have the one setting for it.
One thing I noticed when I was playing mouse and keyboard was there was a slight bit of auto aim. Like I would aim down sights at a vampire, and my cursor would just like jump with the enemy.
Really?
Yeah,
I've noticed that with the stake launcher a little bit, but I haven't noticed it with any of the other weapons. Especially,
I've only noticed it once, so it could be like a one-off, but I'm not sure.
Maybe it's enabled and it's just not working.
It's a bug.
It's a bug. I said this just a minute ago, but this looks like something that probably should have gotten canceled. Like, these are one of those games that's like, you hear about it, you see it, they show it, and they kind of do this, and then somebody comes in and goes, oh my God, you can't release this. Just cancel it. And then they cancel it, and you're like, oh man, this game looked great. This could have been the best game. What are they thinking? They're so stupid. This was not that. This is so mad. And then, this is what you get when they don't cancel a game. I use Scalebound as an example.
That's what I think.
Yeah, Phil Spencer said that game. You didn't want that game. It's like, we canceled that game for a reason.
I didn't want that game.
No, I didn't either. I thought that game looked terrible. But everybody was so mad, but honestly, when it comes down to it, there is a reason why they pull the plug on something they spent a lot of money on.
Yeah.
And this game, of course, was in production before Microsoft bought Bethesda. And at the time, Bethesda was not doing very well financially. So I honestly think that they went to Arcane and said, can you make a looter shooter? Can you make a live service game?
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, we're working on this. What if we do this and this? And that was the plan. And then when they were bought by Microsoft, they didn't have to do that. So they kind of just gutted it, and this is what we got. I don't know. I mean, it's total speculation, obviously.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like, and when I was playing it, because I'm playing a lot of retro games, it feels like it feels like an original Xbox game, but I'm playing the PC version of it. Does that make sense?
Brute force.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like when you play, original Xbox game, it's at 30 frames per second. It's at 720p or 420p or 480p. Sorry, and then you play the PC version and it's like 1080p, but the same exact game. That is exactly what this feels like. It feels like an original Xbox game that I'm playing on PC. And that's, I mean, that's just sad.
This is unfortunately an L for Arcane for now, but they said they're still working on it. So let's hopefully they could turn it around.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath on that. I think they're going to patch this for a year, and then they're going to come out and they're going to be like, we're no longer supporting Redfall.
Yeah.
Here's our new game, that we actually were working on instead of
a lot of people are saying that was it Redfall, like they just want to get it out get it over with, and then just move on. That's what some
there's a
people say.
rumor that Harvey Smith kind of came up with this, and then he immediately left to go work on the game they're working on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is kind of pulling a Jason Jones, like they did. he did that with Halo 2. He's like, okay, this is what Halo 2 is going to be. Okay, later I'm going to go work on something else. And then it, took just a complete nosedive, and they had to puzzle it back together.
So you're not predicting like a No Man's Sky situation here?
I don't think so.
I don't
think
see
it's
it with
big
this
enough.
one. No. I don't think there's enough potential there, and there's way too much more to fix.
Okay.
Than, and even, I even have to say when, and Thick will probably back me up, when Fallout 76 launched, it had more game in it than this does. It looked more finished. It had a fleshed out idea of what it was and how it was going to be, and I just don't feel it with this one.
Yeah, all the game elements to this game is undercooked and not balanced properly at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think about this, and I'm like, how everyone's like, oh, they're trying to get this out for shareholders, right? Like you have to meet your fiscal year deadlines, your projections, yada yada yada. That's why people push these games out, and they're not that good. But wouldn't it be interesting to hear some of these shareholders be like, we would much rather have current Redfall now than the Redfall in a year from now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, clearly a year of extra time in the oven is going to do a certain amount of benefit to this game, right?
Yeah, especially if this is your first game as a publisher and as a shareholder, you're looking at it and going, yeah, that's good enough, that's fine. Which EA has done many times, but it's just odd to come from Microsoft knowing that they need a win right now.
Yeah.
Even if the ABK thing went through, game one, that doesn't overnight you're a hero, right? Overnight you've got more customers. Overnight you make more money. That takes years to do that. Even now, the Bethesda studios are just now getting kind of integrated into the Microsoft umbrella and working with other studios. And that was, almost 3 years now of them trying to do that. So these things don't happen overnight. They needed this game to be good, and they should have either just delayed it or canceled it.
I feel like 2 or 3 months delay would not have benefited this game that much, especially given what will be coming out like August timeframe and up, right? This could have been a July game maybe, but because it feels like nothing's coming out in July, but I don't know if that would have helped it at all.
It needed a Halo Infinite delay.
Probably
a solid year.
It needed a year and probably help from another studio to kind of flesh this out. And I think actually, if you look at what they were trying to do, or I see this as a viable live service game. I mean, on paper, again, New England small town, vampires, cultists with machine guns. You've got characters with abilities. Adding new characters later. A fleshed out storyline, a currency system and a loot system, and all of those things I mentioned. That's how the Division launched, and it didn't do super great at first, but once people adopted it and they fixed a couple things, it did really well.
Yeah,
I think what the Division had compared to it though is it was a unique live service cover-based game and third person compared to something like Destiny. And
plus it had to be way more polished than this.
It was,
it was way more polished,
right? But I always feel like the definition of a successful live service game is, can this game realistically entertain players after 40 hours or after 60 hours, after 100 hours? Do you see Redfall where you're like, oh dude, I played 1,000 hours of Redfall, that's my game?
It's a little bit too broken. No, it's too broken right now.
No.
All right.
And I don't think that and even backing out on that, the single player, we may fix that to where it's not online. I think they're even backing up a little bit from that as well, as that, this isn't a game you're going to be playing forever. You finish it and toss it, because they're ready to toss it. I think they're done with it already.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Yeah, just taking out the live service element, this seems more like a Borderlands 3 type of game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, everyone's like, Destiny 2, that's a live service game, right? People that's their one game. So you guys understand how I don't know. It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like Destiny 2 has that effect on both of you. Like, I know, Scott, you do play it, but I don't think you play it every month, like all the time.
No. But
what does Destiny do differently than the ideal version of Redfall? Like, how is Destiny like, dude, I've played 500 hours of Destiny. And so do you see a vision of Redfall where you're like, oh, I played 500 hours of Redfall. I love this game.
At this point, no.
But do you see, like, can you see in, 2 years ago, as the game was developing, do you see at the decision makers table, they're like, this is how we get 500 hours out of Redfall?
Yeah.
You do see that?
I kind of see that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that looking at the world and just the fact how empty it was, it's hard to discern if it was never populated or if it was, just completely taken out.
Yeah, okay. All right.
It just seems like a lot of effort to make that kind of environment, that detailed environment, just completely void of anything to do.
Yeah.
If you watch Skill Up's video, I think he went almost all the way across the map, 2.5 minutes to get to his objective and didn't come across one enemy.
So it's just a boring slog.
Yeah, like what can you even call that a game? I mean,
at least in Red Dead Redemption 2, you had that dialogue. You're on the horse and carriage, and then you have the funny dialogue with the person you're carrying.
Yeah.
And
it's also that it's not okay. If this was a brand new studio and this was their first effort, then it would be. We probably wouldn't be having this much of a discussion. We'd just be like, "Wow, you guys, screw the pooch on that one."
Arcane had a name.
Time.
Arcade had a name.
Yes.
Yeah.
The worlds that they've built and the games that they made, there's not many of them, but I've played all of them excluding Deathloop. I played it, but I just couldn't get into it. But especially just Dishonored 1 and 2 are some of my favorite games, and what you can do in that game, that immersive sim that's a textbook example of, and that's what they called Redfall, and it's not even close to an immersive sim. There's no sim to it,
and there's no real choice necessarily, because in the beginning, like, they even say like, oh, play your way, but it seems like you just go in guns blazing, like there's no sort of like stake in it, right?
Yeah,
no pun, but yeah.
There's one mission I went into, and you have to get in this house, and there's a big opening in it. Well, my character, you can throw this little device up there and just teleport to it.
Yeah,
like the Dishonored blink ability.
It kinda, but you have you do have to throw it. So sometimes it will hit something, and it doesn't work perfectly. But so I went up there, and when I went up there was 4 vampires, all with their back to me. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I had no choice. I tried to, sneak up behind one of them. Well, when I did that, one of them saw me, and then they just started attacking me. And they killed me. I mean, it's like there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
So then when I reloaded, I went back, and I did the same thing. I went up there like, oh, okay, I'm ready for these guys. Went back up there. They're gone. All right, there's nobody.
Oh, really?
Nobody. Yeah. So I just found the thing and got out, and I didn't run into any enemy whatsoever. And then I just got, hey, your mission's done.
Anticlimactic.
Well, yeah. I mean, what? Yeah. So was that a bug where there's supposed to be 4 there? Was there supposed to be nothing there? Was there supposed to be 1 there? So that's just complete inconsistency, and I don't know. It just not what anybody's used to Arcane. And I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the people that worked on this game that put a lot of effort. Whoever made that sewing machine, hats off, man. I mean, just the detail that the artist did for this world and how good it looks to me. I like that kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
So they call it a Stephen King-esque, like Northeast.
Yeah, it's very New England.
New England, yeah.
You've got you got boats, and there's a lot of boats in their games.
Oh, is there?
I think they're but maybe they're from that area. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention. I mean, Austin is in Texas, so I'm guessing maybe they just like New England. But I mean, the people that put the art into that, the sound, the aesthetics.
The voice work is good.
The voice work is good. I mean, there's some things there that you can tell they put 100% into.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So that's about all I can say about Redfall.
Well, it sounds like this might not be nominated for a Game of the Year at the Keeleys. Might not be.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Probably
No.
be,
It might be
probably
nominated
in a
for
couple of
different
jokes.
things.
Razzie. Remember the Razzies?
Yeah.
Yeah, might be a Razzie nominee.
Do we have Razzies for games?
No, but maybe they should do a new
Maybe we should.
category. Yeah. Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna start the Razzies of games.
Yeah.
We
All
seem
right,
to
no
play
more.
most of them.
All right, no more Redfall talk. Maybe a little bit more a little bit later, but let's get to the rumor mill this week, okay, guys?
Yep.
All right. Quick fire.
We got 4 rumors this week, hot off the press. That means earlier today this one happened. Jez Corden of Xbox 2 podcast, I think, just tweeted out that PlayStation may have inked exclusivity deals with Konami on Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, and maybe even a new Castlevania game. Do either of you care about this?
Not unsurprising if it is true.
Yeah, I guess the only one I'm kind of interested in is Metal Gear Solid, but if it's a remake, it basically does nothing for me.
It'll be a remake.
It'll be a remake.
It'll be a
All right.
remake.
Blue Point.
Triple
It'll be.
snakes.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if the Castlevania wasn't a remake as well.
Oh.
Because they look over there at Capcom and they're like, "Whoa, check that out."
Well, what would it be a remake of Symphony of the Night? That seems to be their little 2D pinnacle of the series, right?
To be honest, I would not mind that. I'd like that.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
I know. Every once in a while, I'm like, oh, Symphony of the Night. People like rave about that game, and then I watch it, and I'm like, oh, it moves a little chunky. It moves a little like.
It's a little outdated.
Yeah.
But it's still a pretty solid game for its time.
Right.
Period.
Well,
Right,
is it a rumor because it's going to be exclusive to Sony? Are they throwing their money out again and getting those exclusives?
I look. It does make sense that Konami, a Japanese company, is inking a deal with PlayStation, right?
Right.
I mean, I guess
Like
you could
Square
see it with
Enix.
Nintendo. Yeah.
One thing I noticed. So how we got Final Fantasy 15 on Xbox last gen? I feel like that was just a remnant of the goodwill from the 360 era.
Yeah.
And because Xbox One lost a lot of goodwill, maybe that's why we're seeing a lot of exclusivity just going back to Sony.
No,
Do you
they're
know what I mean,
paying.
bud?
They're paying them to not put
Yeah.
games on.
To an extent, yeah.
No, I mean they pretty much found that out. I mean through all this ABK stuff, they're paying them money to not put games on Xbox.
To an extent, some developers do not find it worth developing on Xbox, though.
I would think that Final Fantasy is not one of those franchises that is not worth putting on Xbox.
Well, I think Jess Corden had a good tweet where I think someone was saying something along the lines. Thick just said like, "Oh, it's not going to sell on Xbox," and then didn't Jess say, "Well, it's coming to like some weird cloud platform that like no one's heard of," and they're like, "It clearly sell more on Xbox than this."
Yeah, you're not
bizarre
going to sell
yeah.
anything if you don't put it on the platform.
Yeah. What I think is happening is my theory is that Game Pass is doing something weird with sales on Xbox. Like if you're games are not as attractive to people if they have Game Pass, right? It's pretty it's common, right?
There's a lot of like, I'll wait till Game Pass kind of thing.
Yeah, if you have access to 150 games and a new game comes out, you're like, it's just not quite as interesting to me, right? I have 150 games I haven't been playing. So what I think is happening is Square Enix is like, bro, our games aren't selling that much on your console. And then Sony's sneaking up and they're like, hey, we know those games aren't selling that great. Why don't you just take them off that platform totally? We'll cut you a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably,
right?
You might be on something. Because if you look at, if you have Game Pass and you have all of these games, and then you're looking at that new game, it's like, well,
right.
$70 is a lot because I'm paying 10 and getting all of these. It kind of changes your perspective. You know, it's like when you that game comes out, it's at 70, and you say rent it or something or try it. You're like, this isn't great. But then it goes on sale like 6 months later for 30, and you buy it. It's like, this is the best game ever because your perspective of
expectations,
your quality per price has gone up. That could be, and that could be an effect of Game Pass that we're not yet seeing. That may be in the future of seeing a decline of sales of third-party titles on Xbox because of Game Pass.
You know what? Every once in a while, they will have like, you know how they do a breakdown of platform? Like there'll be a big third-party game, and then it'll show how much it is selling PlayStation, how much it is selling Xbox, how much PC, whatever. When I always look at like, what's the ratio between PlayStation and Xbox? And I'm telling you, it's It's like 60-20.
Yeah, but you also have to look at that as that physical copies or digital copies, because a lot of times that's not digital copies. That's only physical. And Xbox does do more digital than Sony. Sony is picking up. I mean, their physical physical sales are down, but their digital is up.
Yeah.
So that's where the games media jumps in. It's like nothing's selling on Xbox.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true because they don't divulge their digital sales.
Yeah.
The third-party company will. They could go, hey, these are digital sales and physical sales. But a lot of times they just don't. They just look at the physical sales.
Yeah, fair. That's fair enough. Yeah. Vic, you agree that's fair enough?
There's no way to really tell.
Yeah.
So as far as like Square Enix looking at something, I think it's just easier for them and probably less problematic for them to just take the money from Sony and stick with PlayStation and release it, with them both being a Japanese company. Right?
Yeah. Something weird is going on there.
Well, it's just nobody at Xbox is going to them and going, hey, how much money they give you? Right. We'll match that, or we'll give you a little bit more. Nobody's doing that right now, probably because they've got, this whole ABK thing going on. Who knows?
Let me ask you guys a question. Wasn't there a game that came out a couple years ago called Outriders?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Was that by Square? Did Square publish that?
Sure
but
did.
Don't you remember I think they were disappointed in that deal that they got? Didn't they come out publicly and say like this deal didn't work for us?
They were disappointed in the sales, at least. That's all I remember.
I think overall sales. They said that there was a couple of months at one point where they said it was not profitable yet.
But for some reason, I think it was in specific relation to Game Pass into Xbox. Like I thought it,
They did release day one for Game Pass.
It did, yeah.
It did, right.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if they're looking at that and they're like, Game Pass has a weird effect on this. Let's, who knows? Who knows, right?
Yeah, that wasn't a Japanese developer though.
No,
I don't know if
it was their Eidos.
Western studio.
They're Western,
yeah. It was People Can Fly, but I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But I think it eventually was profitable. But I don't know if that was because of Game Pass or not, because it seems like a lot of developers that talk about Game Pass or the deal they got with Game Pass was much better than going with the publisher and putting it out and now getting just kind of sales coming in here and there as opposed to getting that big
I think
chunk
within
of
context, like a lot of those people that are praising it are generally indie or AA studios so far.
Yeah. Well, People Can Fly is definitely a AA studio.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't get the best deal.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. It's tough to comment on something we just don't have any information about. Yeah.
We're just speculating.
Guys, we have to move on to our second rumor of the week, okay?
Yes.
Tom Henderson again reconfirms that the PS5 Pro is being developed, but dev kits are already being sent out, and he thinks a late 2024 release is their current target. Scott, we know you're a little hesitant on this.
Mm-hmm.
Thick, what do you think?
It'll probably happen.
It'll probably happen.
Yeah.
Are you getting it day one if it does happen?
Nope. I'm fine with my PlayStation 5 digital edition. If they have the rumored detachable drive,
then which you will be.
If it can connect to my digital, I might buy it. Just
interesting. Aside
from that, I don't think
not
so.
Really.
Because it's kind of a secondary platform for me because I only played the exclusives or whatever on there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like done for a while.
Right. Yeah, I know. Like this week, I'm playing Omega Strikers. Omega Strikers looks like a game that could run on PS3. It doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it looks fine. It looks polished. But I'm like, I never think about graphics anymore. So I'm not like, oh, the graphics are going to be a hair better on this thing. So I'm obsessed with it. Now again, if that thing comes out, we're going to be a month away from it, and I'll probably tell you like, oh yeah, I have it pre-ordered, right? So, a man is a miserable pile of secrets, right? Isn't that the quote?
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess so. All right. Rumor number 3. Andy Robinson of the VGC suggests a new Star Wars real-time strategy game is currently in development. RTS genre has fallen off a cliff, I feel like. Rest in peace, Minecraft Legends, right? Do either of you care about a Star Wars RTS?
Has there been one? I don't know.
No, there's been a couple. There's Empire at War, and there was another one.
But how long ago?
Years.
It was a while, right?
It's been
a while
years.
ago.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. There's supposed to be like a strategy comeback. Was it Age of Wonders or?
That's
I remember that.
That just came out. Age of Wonders 4 just came out.
It's doing really well.
I think got 85 Metacritic. I had my eyes on that.
Oh, was it Phil Spencer also
Good
said
call.
Age of Empires 2 is doing better than...
Don't talk about that yet. Don't talk about that yet. All right?
I just thought I wanted to toss it in there before I forgot.
I'm joking.
Well, Age of Empires has always done fairly well.
Yeah.
It's been good for Microsoft. It's a good strategy game.
Yeah.
I dabble.
Yeah.
But Starfield, Starfield 2 still sells.
Yeah.
I
have a question, and I want Scott to answer this question. What is it about the real-time strategy genre that turns you off? Because I feel like quote unquote the internet is like, oh, it's like down on the genre, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Why.
Do you get that feeling?
Yeah, I do get that feeling. I think I think they just feel like it's old. But so is there. So is first-person shooters till somebody comes out with something brand spanking new that everybody wants to play.
Right.
And for me, I'm not a strategist. I'm not good at forward thinking. I'm more like I'm a player that's in the moment.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
Is this where I can use the word choice paralysis?
Yes. Well, okay. Actually, no, you cannot, because in RTS games, speed is important. Like you do have to make a choice quickly.
Right.
I think choice paralysis comes in when stakes are high and you can have an eternity to think about your next move. Like chess. Chess is choice paralysis, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have one of those little clickers on the side.
Yeah, I'm always whatever decision I make, I think is the best one until I meet the enemy that made obviously much better choices and has things in the game that I didn't even know existed and just walks all over me.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not very good at them. Something like Age of Empires is for me more fun because you build things, you kind of make a society and a city and people
and war is an aspect. War is a small aspect.
It's more like a sim than a strategy. So it's gonna make a comeback. I think not a giant one, but I could see them making a Star Wars. Apparently, there's more Star Wars games in the making than we know.
I know. I think we're gonna be flooded pretty soon with them.
Yeah. If
Disney has Scott, I know you're plugged into this. When's the next Star Wars movie coming out?
Not sure. I'm not paying attention to the movies. They've announced 3. Dave Filoni.
What do you mean they've announced? There's 3 movies in development?
Yes.
Oh, at least one of them stars Rey, right? Rey's coming back?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to continue that horrible story they started several years ago that nobody really wants.
Yeah. I hope we visit Luke on that island again where he's drinking that green milk.
Well, he's dead. So.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. The movies came out like 5 years ago. I mean, if you didn't see that Star Wars movie in it. But, really, we just wanted one scene with Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and, all in one. And
we never got it.
They took it away from us. So,
yeah, they did.
I'm going to stick to the TV shows and the old stuff.
Okay.
Like a crotchety old man.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
All right. Last rumor this week is survival. And the survival game called Ark 2? This was shown. Yes. This was shown at the Xbox showcase last year, their next 12 months showcase.
And the year before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. But last year they gave us the window, right?
Within
the next 12 months. Apparently, it's been delayed to Q1 2025, according to Digital Domain's annual report, that's a pretty giant delay. Right.
That's a huge delay.
So that feels something's up there. How do you go to Microsoft being like, put this in your next 12 months showcase, and then it's like, oh crap, well, actually we're 2025.
Yeah, the studios, they've done that before. They've done that like every time.
It's these damn PC studios, these PC centric studios.
That's it.
I've never been a fan of this studio.
No,
No.
they're kind of shady with stuff like that. And not only this is the same studio. It's like, oh, the original Ark. Yeah, we're shutting all of that down. You're gonna have
Give
to
us
buy
money.
the upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, again. So you're gonna have to buy the game again if you want to continue to play it. Pretty much. So yeah, just forget Ark 2. Just
Forget
don't,
it.
Don't pre-order it.
I feel like
Don't
Ark
give these
was
guys
always
any
one of
money.
those games to me that I feel like they made it by luck.
Yeah, I hear you. I understand that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's still in early access. Yeah.
Yeah.
if in all intents and purposes.
Dude, that game does good on Steam still. Not every once in a while. Every day
I
it
don't
goes.
understand.
What, you don't get it. Yeah.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I think it's terrible. And I played a good bit of it, and it's just terrible.
Right. All right, let's get to our perhaps our greatest segment of the podcast, which is big talk.
The biggest.
For people with big vocabularies, right? I mean, we know what the words vociferous means, and we know what ephemeral means. So this is the kind of people you're tuning into.
Yeah.
Don't give us
I'll have to go back and look at my
thick
phone.
edit or not thick. Scott, edit your face out of that one. Your face did not look good for us.
Trying to remember what those mean.
Yeah. So what happened this week? Everything exploded. The internet exploded.
Oh, wow.
The gaming internet exploded. Phil Spencer went on Kinda Funny Games to, I think, flagellate. That's a good vocabulary word. Flagellate himself for 40 minutes. I thought everything
about... a good
about...
way or a bad way?
I think mostly flagellating yourself is a negative term. I don't think it's ever used in a positive way.
Yeah, I'm just double checking here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I guess initial response to, first of all, watching that, I guess he was probably on there for 30 minutes, right? There's
40. I counted 40. I think.
I know
about 40 minutes.
The video is 40 minutes, but the first 5 minutes, last 5 minutes, then there was a giant ad in the middle. But whatever, unimportant. Did you guys have a weird reaction to that, or did you feel the presentation was like? Did you guys enjoy that?
I thought it was fine. Like,
oh, you did? Okay.
I wouldn't say enjoy. I don't think I would use that word.
Okay. First of all, the whole vibe brought to provided by the Kinda Funny crew was just like. It was like dour, right? It was like, let's just like be negative. We have the head of Xbox on. Let's just be negative the whole 40 minutes, right? 30 minutes.
I think they did a good job not being too negative. They were negative enough or critical, I would say.
Yeah, I think if they were not critical after
that's true.
Then they wouldn't be doing their job.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. If they were just like, hey, what you been playing? I mean, it's they had to be Barbara Walters for a minute and just kind of hit the tough questions. And I'm sure Phil Spencer knew that was going to happen,
right?
And he was expecting it, and he wanted to have a reaction to that. And for me, I mean, it's I kind of respect Phil Spencer for running,
showing up.
Running a company. The gaming division of one of the largest companies in the world, and going on there and just kind of just talking like a normal person and saying how he felt about it and how he takes responsibility. Not like here's my card, I would like to apologize for. It was just kind of a very candid and that's what I think that. You don't see that with other companies. You don't see that with like Activision.
No, you don't.
When they make something and it just completely fails and just everybody's devastated.
Yeah.
They will not say anything,
unless something's like really bad, like maybe like security or something. Something gets
and Bobby Kotick has to come up with. I never met her. It's. I think it's. It doesn't make me like, hey, I want to go buy an Xbox. It just. I think it's reassuring to just see that openness and that candid from somebody of his status do that and hope that and I think I put on that. I think I wrote on the on that YouTube that it's a master class in addressing your customers, as an executive.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay,
because nobody really does it that way. And nobody, when what's his name, Andrew Weber, not Andrew Weber, it was Andrew whatever from
Andrew Lloyd Webber. He did the Phantom of the Opera.
That's what I don't know where that came from. Andrew something from EA.
Yeah.
When he comes at, he just puts like a tweet, or if he puts a statement, has somebody tweet it. It's just a 15 people wrote that. It's like a Beyonce song. So to have him come on an Xbox show and knowing that he's going to get those tough questions, it's just you got to have a little bit of respect for him on that. But so,
Thick, do you agree? Do you agree with that?
I think I mean I agree, but I know the internet's a little bit more cynical.
The internet's insane. The internet is insane.
Twitter just melted.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, we have kind of heard this before in the past few years, so some people are just kind of sick of it, which is fine. I mean, I think that's valid. I mean, I think what we really need to see is, action, right?
Yeah.
But in any case, I don't have a problem with Phil. Like, Phil has a hard job.
No, I don't either. Actually.
He's definitely accountable for a lot of it, so, he's got to work through it.
Yeah. Well, I do know certain segments of the internet are like trying to get fire Phil Spencer going, right, on Twitter or whatever. These people are insane, right?
Yeah. That's
so
ridiculous.
I think, did Phil Spencer take over his current position like 2014, 2015?
It was 2014.
It was 2014. Yeah. So if you go back in time, do you remember like 2011, 2012, 2013, how like anemic Xbox was at that time? Mm-hmm. Remember studios kept closing down, like Lionhead closed down? I'm like, they were a Halo.
They closed down with under Spencer, wasn't it?
Oh, did they? Maybe they did.
It was, and he came out and said that was a mistake.
Really?
They should have done something else with
that.
Okay.
But I think my point there is like Xbox. I think the lowest of the low, they had 5 studios under their banner, right? Mm-hmm. And then somehow it got passed from Don Matrix to Phil Spencer. Now they have 23 studios. So I feel like this like basically, you listen to these Xbox podcasts or video game podcasts, it's like the most depressed you've ever heard them before, right? They're like, oh my gosh, Redfall's bad.
Xbox, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like, well, the company still has 23 studios, which is like way more than it had 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it does not hinge on Redfall. I mean, Redfall is really just more symbolic of a bigger problem right now, which is just the... Well, okay, wait.
Go ahead.
Like, Redfall is just kind of symbolic of like what is just kind of going on with Xbox in the past 2 years. So it's... This is just a tipping point. That's really what it is. It's not Redfall itself. It's just a culmination of things going on.
Yeah, I guess I think it's interesting because I'm like Xbox just had a quote early game of the year candidate, Hi-Fi Rush. You guys know how I feel about Hi-Fi Rush, right? But everyone in the media is like, this is a early game of the year candidate. This will be nominated for the top 5
not
games.
If you forgot about it.
But they forget about it 2 days later, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, everyone forgets that game exists, and then everyone forgets, like, PlayStation just had Forspoken, which bombed. Forspoken was a giant bomb, right?
And the studio closed down. They closed the studio down.
Oh, they did, right?
Yeah,
right. So I guess my point is, like, this isn't even about Redfall. This is about, like, everyone just was so excited about that Activision deal. Mm-hmm. I feel like, and the fact that they can't, like, no one can admit, like, I'm just sad that Xbox doesn't have 42 studios now, so I'm just going to start bagging on Redfall. You know what I mean? Not that Redfall doesn't deserve it, but I feel like it's that 1-2 punch. It's like ABK is like in jeopardy now, or whatever.
Yeah, right. Basically the tipping point, right? So
right.
Yeah, and having watching this thing, I hate to say this, and I was just like, wow, I'm glad I'm on PC.
Right.
It's like, because if you're invested in that Xbox ecosystem, if that's what you play
your
on,
only thing, right?
Yeah, like I did for a long time. I always had something else, but that was my main, that was my mainstream of gaming. If you have that and you're invested in it, you want those games to be good. Obviously, they're not all going to be, 100s and stellar and everything, but it just seems like since 2021, Xbox has just been apologizing for stuff, and it's just one more stick in the fire. So Redfall is just that one last thing, and not that I'm saying you should give up on Xbox and whatever. I mean, you can do what you want, but I can see the frustration I can see that some people are just done. And I was there in 2013 when they announced Xbox One is always online. It's TV, connect. And I'm like, what? I'm done with this. And look what happened. I mean, it got completely turned around, and they did really well, and they've got a lot of services that now PlayStation is trying to catch up to. So this isn't the end of Xbox. It's not the doom and gloom that everybody says it is. But if you're in that ecosystem and that's your main, it does hurt. It's got to hurt.
Yeah. Me. I always like to look at things like the time is a steamroller, right? Time, like if Redfall comes out to an 86 Metascore and people generally like it, in a year, still, I mean, no one's really going to be remembering Redfall, right? Or 2 years down the road, it's not a needle mover, right?
Yeah. It's another hi-fi rush.
Yeah. To a certain extent. I guess thick. Do you have any notes on this?
So I do. There's some interesting quotes from the interview. I don't know if you guys have your own.
Oh no, I have some quotes too.
Okay, so early in the interview when he was talking about the ABK deal, he was saying how the CMA defined the market of cloud gaming. That he's basically saying Phil Spencer is basically saying that they defined the market for cloud gaming that doesn't exist yet. So, I know some people were saying like from that one quote that they can't out console Sony and Nintendo, that people are saying they are relying totally on cloud, but then that first statement kind of contradicts that. It's like, I don't think he knows cloud is not the only future right now, but it's part of it. And I think people are really like, I see a lot of comments online just saying it's like, oh, stop focusing on the cloud, but like it's just part of their strategy. It's not their only strategy.
Yeah, so was ABK. I mean, he said that. He says that's just a factor of it. It's not. We didn't bank everything on ABK.
Yeah, they said it's part of our strategy. It is not. ABK is not our strategy. It is an accelerant to it. Is what they said.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah, and they just didn't get it. But as far as and I've said this, and he said this years ago. He said that they're not in competition with PlayStation. They're not trying to outsell PlayStation. They know they can't. I mean,
it's realistic. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. What their competition is Amazon and Google and other companies that are trying to get into the gaming market that have no business to be there.
It's an ecosystem war, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And their strategy is to make this ecosystem that has the services and the on-demand games and coupled with the consoles and with the hardware. But not relying on any single one of them, as which has been the mistake, console makers before. You got to bank everything on that next console, put everything into it. And Sony still does that. They bank on that. If the PS5 failed, then PlayStation failed. So, they're not doing that. It makes them, in the eyes of the average, person that goes into a Walmart and buys a physical copy of a game, which, why are you doing that? Just get digital. Yeah. It makes them look stupid. It makes them look like they don't know what they're doing. But if in the big picture, I think they're
looking ahead.
They're already ahead of Nintendo and Sony. You just can't see it because it's
this thing has been misquoted so much.
Oh man, people have just taken everything out of context, and it's just become
what I thought. This was probably one of the most egregious misquotes that I saw on the internet. It is quote, "I see it out there that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way."
Yeah.
All the internet is like, oh, he doesn't think games will help improve their.
People are saying he's given up on console. I'm like, what?
Well, and it's clearly, it's like, it's right in the quote. It's like, first of all, he says all of a sudden, like that's like obviously you can't turn a ship around like a jet ski, a small boat like that. And then he says in some dramatic way, right? He knows it's like a cruise ship. You got to take some time.
Yeah.
But I think if that ABK deal goes through, it's like people know, like, okay, in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to be looking a lot better than we did the last 3 to 5 years, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so crazy how the internet is just obsessed with like I'm on this side. I just gotta say whatever to trash the other side, right?
Yeah, I don't know of anything else, any other industry. I'm sure there are.
Oh, politics is
well,
like that.
Sports,
yeah, but
maybe?
that's not a
Sports.
consumer.
Sports,
That's not a brand. I'm sure probably like Apple people or Nike people have that same kind of mentality.
Right.
But for me, I mean, the things that I'm involved in, like even like mountain biking, like the mountain bike brand that I ride, you don't see somebody else on a trail and they stop and go, "Oh, you're an idiot for buying that."
Right.
You're not even a real mountain biker.
Right.
You need, this is the only brand that you buy if you want to be a mountain biker. Nobody does that. That is just so stupid. But here we are, grown men on Twitter fighting over PlayStation is the only gaming format, period. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So when they take those things out of context and then throw it back out there, then it's a fire, man. It's just gas on this fire that it just consumes everything. And I don't know what he I don't know what he could have said that could not been have taken out of context.
Well, can I tell you? So do you guys remember how like the evolution of Twitter? It was like all these celebrities would start posting on Twitter, and then over time, celebrities started realizing like if Justin Bieber says something like, "Oh, I like this one movie," then what you have is 10,000 people looking at your tweet, or 500,000 people looking at your tweet, and then the best trash tweets get upvoted to the top. And so Justin Bieber says something, and then like someone just crushes his tweet. So it's like, well, you cannot beat the masses of like clowns that are out there, right?
No, you can't.
So I kind of feel like, Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer, they're very different, right? Phil Spencer, he talks to shareholders. He doesn't talk to gamers. Whereas, not Phil Spencer, Jim Ryan, right? Jim Ryan's like, I'm going to talk to shareholders.
He is a
Phil Spencer's like,
Yeah.
And Spencer's like, I'm a gamer. I'm going to talk to gamers directly. And what ended up happening with this interview is I feel like, Twitter turned into real life, where it's just like everyone who slings mud just twists what he said and tries to dunk on him, right?
Unfortunately, not the first time. So
no, and I'm sure some gaming websites have already started, changing the narrative already, because that's what they seem to do lately.
Yeah.
They put their own twist on it.
Yeah. It's just that. Oh, go ahead, Vic.
Just like going back to the interview specifically, he does seem kind of like he definitely seems stressed, right? Like he seems like he's.
He said that he's like, "You got grumpy, Phil. I'm not having a good week." He's really open and honest about that, and you can't get up there and smile about it and just take it, because you'll look phony.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think what he should have done is you can be negative for 20 minutes and then be like, but the next 20 minutes I'm gonna sell you. I know it's hard to do because you kind of have to read the room, right?
He did a little bit of marketing, especially for
not much. I don't think much he did.
I don't
not much.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been
the place for it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think he wanted to answer those tough questions. In his way, which he's fantastic at it. Again, a master class at how to talk to your customers. But then again, he's like, wait till June, And one thing that I want, I don't know if does anybody have anything on like the Starfield quote, what he said about Starfield?
Oh,
the 3060.
Okay, basically he asked a question. Let me see, what is it? Are we expecting a clear message on whether Starfield is 30 or 60?
And
he didn't specify. Yes. He just said yes.
He said yes.
He didn't say whether it will be 30.
So what does that tell you?
It's 30.
It's probably
30.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Yeah. I think that if it was going to be 30 and 60, I think he would have said something a little bit more relaxed. Like, I think you're going to be happy with our, or just something a little bit more positive. But it was just like, yes.
Can I get into some conspiratorial talk regarding this?
Please do.
Yes.
There was a leaker right before Hi-Fi Rush came out. This leaker accurately said, "Hey, Hi-Fi Rush is about to shadow drop."
Yeah.
He went on later to say that Redfield and Redfall and Starfield are in rough shape, right? So he basically tried to leak 3 things. 2 of them have come true. I don't know if Starfield is a 90 Metascore game anymore.
Well, that was before the delay,
last
right?
year, wasn't it?
Because this was the same guy that.
I think it was after Hi-Fi Rush came out. So that was just a few months ago.
Well, there was one.
I could be wrong.
There was one leak that right after they showed Starfield, this guy was like saying that the game was finished, it was fully playable, but the flying your ship was a mess,
right?
Because they were trying to get this to work on this 20-year-old engine that had no business making a flight sim or whatever. And shortly after that, we got delayed.
Right.
I mean, like a week later.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Not the end of the world.
And it may be something if somebody Matt Booty picks up the phone and goes, hey, is that true? It's like, it's not true. It's like, well, okay, what time do you need? So hopefully they get that ironed out. If it's, I mean, Todd Howard.
There's a lot of pressure on Starfield.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine if it's a 78 Metascore game?
Oh my God.
Even if it's an 80,
I know.
It's going to flip out.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Bethesda's worst game or.
Well, and the thing is,
oh my God, it's got to be good.
This is how my tinfoil hat shapes up. Is I felt like Phil Spencer is just like, I don't even want to talk about Starfield because I don't know if he's that confident in it, right? He's not
Yeah, I mean everything they keep saying, just wait for the show.
And with that being said, it does sound like they're going to have a 30-minute Starfield showcase, right? That's a big. That's a big right. So maybe to that extent, they're pretty confident in it, right? They didn't have although maybe they did have a 30-minute preview of Redfall. I don't know.
It was like 10 minutes at a time, I feel.
Yeah.
Here's what I hope happened after that leak went through is that somebody called Todd Howard and was like, what is this about 30 for Starfield? He's like, 30's great for RPGs. Todd, it's 2022.
Get us a performance mode.
Yeah. Delay the game now. I'm sending like 30 of my best people to your studio.
Yeah.
They're going to tell me how much time it's going to take to get 60 frames per second on that thing. And then they're going to get back to me.
Right.
And it's going to be 60. And if you ever say anything about 30 frames per second again, you're
fired.
You're going to be making a real-time strategy game.
Right.
So that's what I'm hoping happened is that.
But you saw his response though. You saw his one-word response.
I know. And it was just a yes. It wasn't a, oh yeah. Or, yeah, I think you're going to be happy. We're going to talk a lot about that. No, it was just
there's a couple other interesting tidbits. Just to
no, go ahead.
The interview. It seems like he mentioned Avowed, so that seems like that might be the next thing coming up.
Okay. It seems like Microsoft right now is like they had 3 kids, right? And they were barely managing these 3 kids. And then this orphanage came by and said, oh, the orphanage broke down or burned down. Can you take in these 24 kids? And they're like, well, absolutely we can because we've got these 3 and it's so easy. And now they've got, all of these kids running around and it's still the same people that are managing all of these kids.
I think Obsidian's in better shape though.
Obsidian,
they've been pretty good lately.
They've been pretty good lately, but they've had some issues in the past that they've said some previous people is like there was no management, we didn't have a boss, we just kind of did whatever and it fell apart. There are people at Microsoft that are supposed to be at these studios going, what are you doing? Where's your milestone? Are you making it? What are we expecting? What's the time frame? That may be, I'm hoping, and this is the reason that I was apprehensive later on about them adopting Activision, was that, if they can't manage the studios they have now, how are they going to manage something like Activision?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this June they're gonna some of these things are gonna come to fruition, and they're gonna change everybody's mind about their management skills for studios, and Avowed's gonna be shown. We're going to see something from Fable. We're going to see Starfield is going to look great. It's going to have 60 frames per second.
I think Hellblade was mentioned too.
Hellblade 2 is going to come out
year.
in November, and it's going to be stellar. And I'm going to grow butterfly wings and fly to the South Pole. So,
right.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing I want to touch on is this, and then I'll let you guys finish the topic. But Paris Lilly, he tweeted out after that interview. He said, or he tweeted, "quote Tough conversations are tough. I feel drained."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, in what world is that like an acceptable tweet? Like, Paris Lilly should be excited that he's holding like Phil Spencer's feet to the fire. He should be like, I'm showing the gamers, like I'm exposing.
Yeah,
you don't agree with that?
No, I agree with you. Paris Lilly's in an interesting situation where it's like
he's an employee. He's an employee.
It's like, hey man, you're getting a paycheck, so why should we listen to you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the guy. I like the guy though.
Yeah,
I like him too.
Yeah, I like him too. But when it comes down to it, it's like, what are you telling me, and where's this coming from?
Yeah, I feel like there's a morality where you could also feel drained if you were like hyping up a product you knew wasn't that great because you knew millions of people were gonna buy the product based on your false, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like, no, like, oh, like Xbox is my friend. I feel bad. I'm like Team Green.
He had to ask his boss a very delicate question.
Yeah, exactly.
On
right.
a podcast.
Yeah.
And
then, do you guys probably see all those Colt Eastwood tweets from? He had some hands on with Starfield, and he was, or not Starfield, Redfall, and he was raving about it. He was like, "Oh, this game's gonna be great."
That's normal.
I know, that's normal. But yeah, I won't say anymore. Do you guys have anything else to add to this, or should we finish that off?
Let me see.
Any other quotes?
Thing.
Okay.
Regarding consoles, when he was talking about consoles, like after he talked about not out consoling Sony and Nintendo, whatever. Basically, he's just saying focusing on making the console as best as they can. Treat the console players as first class citizens. Is what he said. Of course, actions will speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, he said that before, but
yeah,
where's the action, bro?
Yeah,
I know. I'm a Bills fan, so every year the Bills lose, I always say next year we're gonna be so good. Like next year's our year, and I've been saying that.
Xbox's year.
I've been saying that since Scott Norwood missed that field goal in the early '90s, right? So I see these Xbox players, and they're like, "Oh, you've only had 10 years of getting." Losing every year. I'm kind of joking, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
If you're into the console war thing. Yeah.
If you're into the console war, yeah.
Right. Yeah. What Xbox needs to do is win a Game of the Year award. That's when we know that they made it.
They won't. It could be the best game ever made, and I just don't think that it's. I don't think that it will happen for them.
I think that'd be a great milestone for them.
Yeah. A few podcasts that go thick. I don't know if you caught this, but Scott said there was I think an Xbox tax on Metascores. He said there's,
It seems like it, yeah.
No, I heard it, and I know you've said it before. I definitely disagree with you there, because let me explain to you why.
Okay.
I'm a multiplayer gamer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, the industry, the critics of the industry, they don't really like multiplayer that much. They like that 20-hour game that they can play in a week and then move on.
They like the ones they can watch. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like what Microsoft has kind of cultivated over the last 10 years is they don't make a ton of those like highly cinematic 20-hour games, right?
They don't. I do. That's one thing I won't fault them for, is a lot of their games are fairly unique.
Yeah, a variety of
diversified.
Yeah. So I feel like there's not a Xbox tax. There's a tax against anything that's not a Last of Us type game or a God of War type game, which is those high production value, high story.
Yeah.
One and done games. So
that you're not making anymore.
Right.
Because they're too expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're probably right. I mean, it's probably hard to. And like you said, Game of the Year. I mean, if there's a game that comes out from Sony that is that, single player, story driven, open world resource management, bow and arrow simulation. It's hard to compete with that because that's what the media wants.
Right.
Yeah.
So
this will be a hard year for Game of the Year for anything Xbox.
What's the front runner right now?
Oh, probably Zelda.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even out yet, and everybody's just saying it's Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Which because
maybe Spider-Man 2, maybe.
Come on, I mean, it's no. I wouldn't say that about any game that I have not played personally. I mean, I don't know how anybody can. That's like saying, the next John Wick movie is going to be, Academy
movie
Award
of the year.
movie. Yeah. I mean, how can you even say that? It's not even, not that by saying that it's going to be a bad game. It's just, you just can't tell. You should be
it will be on the list though. I like it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. It's going to be on the list, but I'm just saying you should be a little bit more,
apprehensive.
Well, just a little careful with your money too. I mean, just because it's $70 and it's made by a Sony studio doesn't mean that it's it's the best game ever made. You just don't make those assumptions. Audience. I'm not talking to you, Thick. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just be a smarter gamer and don't get caught up into that.
Do you guys ever? I just started thinking of this. I'm thinking about like Game Pass and like Sony's like premiere model games, like $70 games. And I've heard someone say, I can't remember who it was. They were saying like the reason why people buy lotto tickets is not because they think they have a chance to win. It's because when you pay for a lotto ticket, you instantly get to think about all the things you would do if you won the lotto. Like that's pleasurable to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I wonder if that's like Sony kind of is like banking on that, like. Oh, we have this like magnificent product off in the distance. Like,
absolutely,
it's almost like just thinking about the product is more entertaining than like, oh, it's on Game Pass.
You're basically talking about overhyping.
Yeah, they are the kings of overhype and marketing in general. I mean,
right. But I think that's a very real effect that it's like a human species effect, and I think maybe Sony is leveraging that better than maybe Microsoft
I think
is.
They do.
Microsoft doesn't market anything.
Right.
It's hard to do.
And I think I mentioned this like on some forum, but I feel like Starfield will probably be overhyped, where people will their expectation will be they're going to be disappointed. Like they're overhyping Starfield.
Some people. Yeah.
I think some people. I'm wondering if I think that a lot of people that are going to play this game or try this game are people that have not played a Bethesda RPG before.
Yeah,
and is that true? Is that a warning? A warning to them? Like you have to know what you're going to get into.
I don't know if it is or not because I've played all of them. You know, I mean, I know their style. Their style is a little different, and it's hard to replicate. So it's not like it's just like Skyrim's one of my favorite games. Why hasn't somebody just made another Skyrim? Maybe because they can't. I mean, maybe it's because they just have this formula and they just know how to do it. And so I think that there's some people are going to be like, why am I not shooting something in the first 3 seconds of this game? This game is trash, right? Or why why am I having to talk to these people? Or why is this character creation so long? Why is it so tedious? Why is it so? They are they make the RPGs. I mean, they make very deep RPGs.
Right.
Those games are not they're popular, but I don't think that in the mainstream, the people that play Call of Duty and Madden every year, and that's about it. I think when they get a hold of them, they're not going to really like them that well. I don't think it's. I don't think they're. Gonna
there's something to that.
Yeah. And especially, you've got a whole age of gamers that, probably have never played like Fallout 4. That was their last game.
Right.
The studio.
Right. So, they're all playing Fortnite. They're all playing Fortnite and Minecraft.
They're all playing these other games that are just these quick little, to get into a deep RPG like that. It's, I just don't, nowadays, I just don't see it being.
Well, Scott,
here's, they think it will.
Here's another thing. I say this to both of you all the time. I say, like, if you're a kid and you can buy 2 games a year because, kids don't make any money, and you buy Starfield, that kid is going to push through those boring moments early on, right? That kid's like, I don't care that I haven't shot anyone in the face in the first hour with Starfield.
Yeah, and they're probably gonna. If you do stick with it, then it's probably gonna end up being your favorite game ever.
Right, but I think what's happening is a lot of those kids now have Game Pass, and they're like, dude, I have 149 other games to play. Why am I talking to this AI that I'm not interested in?
Exactly. They'll play it for 10 minutes, and then,
And they'll be like, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that the numbers, and again, what is a successful game on Game Pass? I mean, I know that they say like Hi-Fi Rush. So many, millions of people played Hi-Fi Rush.
2 million. It's 2 million.
Okay, so 2 million played it. What does that mean exactly? What does that mean? Where's the money there? If they get there,
right.
I know that they're wanting those new subscribers to Game Pass to play Starfield. If those people pay that $10 to get to play Starfield, whether they like it or not might not matter.
As long as they're in.
If this is a 76 Metacritic, it might not matter. How many people played Redfall just because people said it was so bad? Oh, I got to try this out.
Right.
So how is that measured?
I think
if they sell a lot of copies, which again, how do they do that when Game Pass is easily the better option?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I feel like Thick always has a good answer to this. Like, Thick, what are Game Pass games going to look like in 5 years? I feel like you always nail it on this question.
I don't think I have an answer for this one. How about yes.
Like what is a successful game on Game Pass in 5 years? Like what needs to happen for that game for Microsoft to go
successful?
Yeah,
I think it's probably some level of live service, to be honest.
Well, Microsoft needs to hear those cash registers going, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be a game that you need to continuously pay Game Pass to play.
No, that maybe? but also, yeah. And you're gonna hate when I say this. A Starfield that sells skins or sells stupid cosmetics, I'm telling you, that's a stream of income that would work great on Game Pass.
We don't know that it doesn't have that.
I know. I was gonna ask you this.
You got to remember Todd Howard. Yeah. This is the guy that had the horse armor. It's
kicked
off the whole thing, man. $5 for some horse armor.
They do that in Elder Scrolls already, right? Was it the Creation Club?
Oh,
yeah,
do they?
That didn't go over very well.
Did they axe that? I don't know.
No, it's still there, but they've come way down on the price. There's always a sale, and the content
it's included in the anniversary edition.
Yeah, right? All of it's included. So, they're done making content for it, obviously, but
okay.
Yeah, and they tried that on Steam as well. They said like, we're going to charge mods for mods, and everybody just lost it.
Oh, well, let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys, Starfield, is it going to have MTX microtransactions that Microsoft's kind of going to try to subtly skirt by in the press?
I think if they could figure out a way to, they probably will.
Dude, dye your armor. Have different color dyes. I have a red spacesuit. I have a blue spacesuit.
Okay. Well, you build your own ship. You upgrade your own ship.
There's that's
things
huge.
That you can buy for your ship.
Yeah.
And this is, maybe we talked about this. I don't know, but in the trailer, it shows like all these combinations of ships.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately for me, that is probably where I'm going to spend most of my time. But yeah, later on, hey, this new hull, $2, or here's a paint job, that looks like something else, some other, here's a Wolfenstein 2, paint job for your ship,
right?
Yeah, they can totally do that. That's.
Would either of you be pissed?
I don't. Nah.
I probably will be just like it's expected.
Yeah,
expected. I think the internet would be pissed.
As long as,
of course.
Yeah, as long as there is plenty in the game to do and acquire.
Right.
That is not DLC or not a transaction.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. But if all upgrades or all cosmetics are a microtransaction, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
So, especially when it launches at 30 frames per second and it has a just atrocious store, like say the Halo Infinite store when it launched, $15 for a coat of paint. No, that's not going to fly. They don't need that right now. That would be
they definitely
don't.
Bad
move.
Yeah. Can I get a quick Metascore prediction out of each of you on Starfield now?
Shit, I don't know if I want to do this.
Mine dropped about 5 points.
I feel like I should, because of what's happening. Yeah, maybe, but I feel like I want to see the presentation first.
But Howard's eyes, those crystal blue eyes.
Yeah, I'm going 84. I'm going 84.
Okay.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Todd Howard's jacket.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to put a score. I don't know. If I feel like by doing that, because it's not
cursing
for me.
Again.
It's not going to be that high because right now, this is a Xbox Bethesda game coming out, and I don't know.
I know.
I'm apprehensive. I am way more excited for Diablo 4, by the way. Which, I may pay.
Go ahead.
I might pre-order to play 4 days early.
Did you do the Ultimate Edition or?
No, I just want to play early. I just want to play as early as possible. I want to play right now. So yeah, I'm way more excited about that. You get to play next week. Else. No, it's not next week. It's June 1st.
No, Server Slam.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty excited for it too. Let's talk about Diablo 4 real quick. There's some points people have brought up is like they haven't really showed too much in some ways. They've talked about stuff, but they haven't showed certain things, like maybe certain progressions right now. Some people are a little bit weary, so I'm tempering my expectations on it. But I am excited for D4, but I feel like there's probably some controversy coming up for it.
You're just waiting for that shooter drop, right?
Yeah.
The Diablo Immortal.
I'm still gonna play it. Yeah, I'm still gonna play it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna buy it day one, but yeah, I'm expecting something.
I don't know. The people they've let some people play the end game, and they said it's really good. I mean,
oh really?
Yeah,
I think I will get my hours of enjoyment out of it regardless.
Yeah, they did say, and Rod Ferguson has said, we're not trying to make this. We don't want you to play Diablo 4 for the next 3 years. We're not trying to do that. And that's what they did with Diablo 3. They tried to make that something that's like wow, but they don't want to do that. They just want to have like content drops. So much like Destiny, you come in, you play the season or you play the drop or whatever they've got, and you're done with it. And then like a couple months down the road, it's like, hey, here's some new content, and you drop back in and play that. That's kind of what they want to do with it. They don't want to burn out. They don't want this to be something that's consistently grindy.
Yeah, that sounds sus to me. Thick. That sounds sus. I don't like when a person, a developer says, we don't want you to play our game that much. Like that, it doesn't pass
doesn't make sense.
Sniff test. Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense. No.
Doubt. Press X for doubt.
Yeah, we don't want you to play it constantly. Just spend money on it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I was really impressed with the beta.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to play regardless. I think.
And that's I didn't feel like it was grindy.
Yeah, if I don't play it like all year, I mean that's fine as long as like I get like 20, 30 hours out of it. That's actually okay with me.
Yeah. I'd be happy with that too. A 30-hour RPG, action RPG with friends, done.
Yeah.
If it's more than that, fine.
Done. It almost sounds like our podcast. Done.
It is done.
Put a fish in it.
That was a good segue, Thick. You got to give me props.
Because
I attached
like
done to the end of the podcast.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. All right. Scott, can you tell listeners? Scott, tell listeners how to reach the show. Just the singular best way to reach the show.
Just put a comment down below,
down below.
and put it at
Where are
they? The like button.
Up there.
It's like right there. And then,
right there. Over
there.
Yeah,
right.
Somewhere around there. I mean, I'll put an arrow somewhere. But leave us a comment, like it, subscribe. We do this weekly. Yeah. Whether if somebody's not showing up or not. But
And again, we have a huge listener base on Spotify, which is an audio only format. So when we say just leave a comment right there, you point, clearly we're talking about our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I was getting to that. We also have
you're getting to that. Yeah. Okay.
We have an audio.
All right.
If you're still into that thing.
Yeah.
I know I am.
Thick, can you leave us with a powerful quote? This is my favorite part of the podcast. I love this part of the podcast.
You love this part?
I suffer through video game talk to get... Yeah.
All right. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that's a Call of Duty quote. I tried to make it topical. Yeah, it's from Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah, you know, surprisingly, Call of Duty has had some really inspiring quotes over the years.
All right, that's going to do it for the show, everyone. We'll see you on Monday, next Monday.
Yes.
Every Monday, that's when you see us. That's when we see each other. That's when we see everybody.
Yep.
Monday.
Yes.
Adios.
Adios.